Hey everyone, got a video for you today about a small modification I'm going to do to this particular guitar here. This is my Kramer Baretta Special. These guitars typically run about $200, and like all guitars in this price range that have this style of tremolo system, when you open up the trem cavity, what you find is this small little zinc block for the tremolo block. Pretty much any guitar in this price range with one of these trem systems, or almost all guitars, I'm sure there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, most of them will have this type of block, and even guitars that are more expensive will have this type of block in there. Um, Never really given it a whole lot of thought, but something that I've always kind of wondered in the back of my mind is, does changing the tremolo block actually make a difference? It's commonly believed that a thicker, heavier block, since a heavier block will resonate more, a thicker, heavier block will actually increase your sustain. It's also commonly believed that the material that the block is made out of will actually change your tone. The block in here is zinc. They also make brass blocks and steel blocks. And the theory is that different metals resonate at different frequencies. So, say you put a brass block in your guitar, the theory goes that it may brighten your tone a little bit, or a steel block may darken your tone a little bit. And then there's also um, a heavier block will actually change how your tremolo feels. Your tremolo arm is basically a lever, and your block kind of acts as a counterweight. So the theory goes a heavier counterweight is going to change how the bar and the springs react, which will change how your tremolo will actually feel. Of all the scenarios, I think that one's probably the most likely. There may be something to the sustain, or the belief about the sustain, but that's difficult to measure and quantify. And then on a solid body instrument, if there is any change in tone, it's going to be very negligible, and you may not even notice the change in tone. But anyways, so I am going to change the tremolo block in this guitar. I went on Amazon and ordered a brass block for it. You can see it's much thicker than the original. It's made by a company called Music Lily. I'm not affiliated with them, but I like their parts. They make some pretty decent parts at a pretty good price. That particular block cost me about $20, so it's not a huge investment. And it is 100% reversible mod, so if I don't like it, then I can just put the guitar back the way it was, and no harm, no foul. So anyways, why don't I go ahead and give you some tones with the old block, or the original block, just in case there is any change in tone. Then we'll be able to demonstrate that. For the tone demo, I'm going to use my normal rig. I have, for the amp, I have my Orange Crush 35 RT. For the crunch tones, I'm going to be using my little Music Lily vintage overdrive pedal. And then for the distortion tones, I'm going to basically I'll be using the dirty channel on the amp as the for the distortion tones. So why don't we go ahead and we'll start with the clean tones. So here's what it sounds like clean with the original block. And then here it is with the crunch tones. And then here it is with the distortion. So there you go. Those are the tones. And then another thing that the block is supposed to do is increase your sustain. So if, say, you hit a chord, supposedly a thicker, heavier block will allow that chord to ring out a little bit longer. Or say you hit a note, you want to hold a note for a while. Supposedly a thicker, heavier block will cause it to ring out a little bit longer. That's hard to measure, but I'll give you my thoughts on that once I get the new block in. So yeah, why don't I go ahead and put that new block in, and then I'll be back to let you know what I find. All right, so I got the new blocks installed in the guitar. You can tell this is, and then this one here, it's obviously much thicker and heavier than the original block right here. One thing I did notice is you can tell that the brass block was actually basically machined from one solid piece of brass, whereas this was basically just cast and zinc. So as far as if anything, this is going to be more durable than the original block. I have had one of these come apart on me once on a guitar. It's the only time it's ever happened. But yeah, on a guitar that I had for about 15 years, this basically came apart. So I mean, that's always something that's in the back of my mind. It's like I said, it's the only time that's ever happened, so I wouldn't be too afraid of that. And then I was able to get the old block out without removing the bridge. A lot of people will remove the bridge, and that's fine, but you can get at it without removing the bridge. As you can see, I took all the saddles off, and then if you're gonna take all the saddles off, make sure you mark it with some tape or something, so you can kind of get an idea of where they were for intonation purposes. And then also make sure you keep them in the same order that you took them out. Basically, so you can, if you have the saddles radius to the fretboard radius, then you won't have to mess around with changing the action or readjusting the action. So I'll go ahead and put everything back together on this, string it back up, and then I'll be back to give you the demo on the new one. All right, so I got it all put back together and set back up. Got the new block in. I've been playing around with this guitar for about a week, and I mean, to be perfectly honest, I really don't notice any measurable difference in how the guitar sounds or plays, or how the trem system feels. So I'll go ahead and give you the tones of how it sounds after the new block was installed. Just the demonstration purposes, I guess. So here's what it sounds like clean with the new block. Here's with the crunch tones with the my vintage overdrive. And then here's the dirty tones with the distortion. See, as you can see, there really isn't any real difference in tone. I mean, I'm sure if you A/B'd them back to back, I'm sure you probably may find maybe a slight difference, but nothing that's actually measurable. And then another thing that the block is supposedly supposed to do is add sustain. I mean, honestly, maybe it's difficult to measure. It's hard to quantify, but I mean, to me, I really don't notice any difference in the sustain at all, and the guitar really doesn't feel any more resonant to me. So I mean, there's that, and then the trem, like using the tremolo arm. I mean, there might be a slight difference. It does feel maybe a little bit smoother. I know with the original block in it kind of felt like the arm wanted to kind of jerk back into position, where if it does feel a little bit smoother if I wiggle the whammy bar. But it's such a slight difference that I really don't know if that's actually the case, or if it's maybe the placebo effect, and because I did something to the guitar, maybe I want to feel something different. But bottom line, yeah, I really didn't notice any sort of difference at all in this in the guitar after I put the new block in. One thing I will say, and I mentioned in the last segment, is the newer block. It was basically machined from a you could tell it was machined from a solid piece of brass, where the original block is it was cast in zinc is what it looks like. And I made mention that I did have one break on me years ago. Not anything you should live in fear of. That's only happened to me once in my almost 30 years of playing. And also it was on a guitar that I had for 15 years, so it wasn't like it was a brand new guitar or anything. So I don't think it's anything to live in fear about. Just something that's always in the back of my mind. So that being said, I mean, I will probably keep this block in this guitar just because it is a better quality part. So the peace of mind of having a more durable, better quality part in the guitar, to me there is some value in that. So I probably will keep the new block in there just for that reason. But anyway, so there you have it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I will put a link in the description on this block in case you want to swap yours out and try it for yourself. I just wouldn't expect any sort of life-saving or life-changing experience with it. I mean, and honestly, I don't think I'm gonna change any of my other blocks unless there's actually a problem with them. Um, but that being said, I will go ahead and put a link for this one if you want to try it. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything if you try it. Keep in mind though, these blocks really are not. These tremolo blocks really are not one size fits all. There are measurements in the description on the listing for these blocks, but and so I would definitely look at those and take some careful measurements off of your existing one and your bridge just to make sure it will fit. Because these are actually not one size fits all. There are actually several sizes. So if, if this particular one isn't going to fit your guitar, I'm sure you can probably find one. But anyways, there you have it. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see some more.